Gala Day, the Durham Miners Gala, the big meeting, the annual celebration of the pride and the passion of the Durham coalfield. A day of carnival, but also a day of remembrance. For the last 125 years, it's been the cornerstone of the North East mining community. This year, for one former pit village, the Miners Gala was an especially emotional occasion, as a community proudly unfurled its new banner for the first time. For all the colour and spectacle of the gala, the roots of Crookhall's story lie in darker days. Men have dug coal at Crookhall since the 1830s, but the village was shaped by the sinking of the Victory Pit in 1921. In its heyday, more than 1,000 men worked at Crookhall. It was dirty and dangerous work. At least 15 men lost their lives in the Victory over the years, and countless more were injured. At the coalface, miners worked in 18-inch seam lining up to 2 inches of water as they hacked out the coal deep below the surface of the earth. Let's listen to Beck Dixon.
Well, Crookhall was first mentioned in the Bolden Book in, I think it was 1189, as being a free manor. Whether it was a manor house on the site, I don't know. But there's certainly a house on the site in the 15 and 1600s. And George Beck and the family took over in 1635, and that was the family that stayed for over 200 years and actually sold to the Consett Company in 1877, I believe. But while they were there, he was the first to drill for coal on Crookhall land in 1834. And in 1839, of course, the Stockley House pit opened on Crookhall land. And of course, it was the Crookhall royalties from day one. Right through it finished, it was always the Crookhall royalties, it was always the Crookhall Lodge. Even though when Delves Lane came along, it was Crookhall and Delves Lane, the two villages, but it was always the Crookhall Lodge. And of course, other pits followed. There was the West Ellamore Coal and Clay Pit, which was on the cricket field, Bogglehole Drift, the Car House Drift, the Delves Pit, that was 1847, I believe, Humber Hill Drift, and different drifts, and then the last one was the Victory Pit in 1921 till it closed in about 1963. After the Stockley House pit opened in 1839, this village was born, should you say, in about 1844, with the building of Red Row along where Main Street Gardens are now, and Blue Row, which came down the side and finished just opposite our house here. And then one up, one down cottages, that's all there were. The basic lead gate, just the same, the squares and things like that. And they were there till 1921 when these bungalows were built. And in about 1924 the old cottages were knocked down. Everybody moved into these cottages. They built the Institute at the bottom, same as Delves. The pit streets at the Delves, the pit streets here, built at the same time. Both had their institute, both had the Methodist chapels, both had the co-op stores. You know, but Crookhall's never ever grown. So Delves Lane has. Conditions were better than they were in the late 1800s and early, obviously, but still not a nice place to work down the pit at all. I mean, I wouldn't have liked to. I never worked down a pit, never. But my dad did, my two granddads did, and my two brothers did.
This is Brendan Reid.
And he settled son. That was on the Saturday morning, after the Friday leaving school. And the following Wednesday I started the screens at the Victory. Okay. Why? The 18 inches, the face was somewhere between 100 and 150 to 300 yards long, 18 inches high. And the long wall AB cutter used to cut it, I used to drill it and fire it, and the men used to go in and fill it off onto belts.
Former pitman at Crookhall Colliery, Tommy Heinsohn.
But the lads at the coalface worked hard. And I finished up, I was chugged around, me and Norman Blakey, at the coalface at Tanfield. And I've never worked in a yard seam yet. It's always been 2'6" down over. Always worked in low seams. But it was hard work, but there was a comradeship you cannot find anywhere.
My first pay packet for them 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, were £3.7 and 6. And I thought I was king at the end of the week when my mother gave us a 7 and a ton of pocket money.
You taught a lesson to look after one another and work for safety. You had to be, because if you made any mistakes, people could have lost their lives through it.
That's the basic of every miner. He's afraid, and yet he's not afraid to go down a mine. That's my feeling anyway. I was always afraid at the time, especially when I got married and I had a young family to keep. I remember the pits, but the best thing I remember, I don't miss the pits, mind. I miss the class of men that worked in them.
The Miners' Union led the fight for decent pay and conditions, and the Miners' Banner became its most potent symbol of solidarity. Dave Hopper puts it like this.
If you look at the banners of the coalfield, you can tell the history of just what the coalfielders went through in relation to the early days, Victorian times, religion, into the early part of this century, the Labour Party, through the 20s and 30s of depression, into nationalisation of the 50s and into the present day.
Well, miners would tell you better, I know, but I've spoken to the miners and I can understand why they want to rally behind a focal point, and your lodge banner was it. Your union was everything, because they kept your wages as high as they could get them. They would try and better your conditions all the time. They would always fight for your conditions, because the conditions were the worst things, never mind the money, from what I've learned, and your union was everything. Everything.
Well, obviously it's a very, very proud moment when any community comes in with a new banner. It means that people in that community are still recognising the struggle that went on previously, and it's also learning the children and other people in the communities who may have forgotten about just what coal and how important coal was, of its role and the role it's played. And certainly I think it's nothing but good can come from the new banners which have been brought in and the educational process therein.
We think the very first one was the 1930s one, which it's still a way getting restored now. That was the very first one, and after that, that was the 1930s. I've got a photograph of it flying at Durham in 1938, and then there's another one flying in 1947 or something, and we thought that was lost forever, but Beamish Museum's got it. And then the 1954 banner, with a miner on the front and a big lump of coal on the back. And then, of course, the brand new one we've just had done in late 2007. And apart from the one that didn't exist in 1925-26, we've got all the others. We know where they're at.
The eve of the 2008 Miners Gala, and Crookhall's new banner is to be officially unveiled at Delves Club, just yards from the former site of the Victory Pit.
Before I ask the two gentlemen who are going to perform the honours to step forward, can I please ask our County Councillor, Bob Young, to say a few words.
It's my pleasure now. I've been asked to invite the two gentlemen who are sat in the room here to come and unveil the banner. I understand these two gentlemen worked together for many, many years as marrers at the pit together. So it's my privilege and honour to ask them if they both come forward, please, and unveil the banner. It's Tommy Heinsohn and Norman Blakey. Will you please come forward?
Okay, cool on, come on, go on, come on, go on.
It's now my pleasure to enjoy the these bands now going to be the Miners in Cressler.
Let's listen to Beck Dixon.
As the banner maker said himself, this is the most beautiful banner he's ever made, and I can understand why. You'll see when we turn this round, the other side's maybe more beautiful. It's a copy of the original banner. This is brand new. The school kids of the Delves Lane Junior School helped me create this side. The other side's a copy of the 1930s banner, and it is absolutely cracking. It really is.
Banners have always been important to the mining communities. I think they've taken on a fresh relevance in this day and age because we don't have any coal mines left, any mining trade unions other than the Durham Miners, and they play the part in trying to help out local communities who are now realising that these banners show to the community, in particular the young people of the community, what this county was built on. It wasn't built on coal, it was built on spirit. It was built on community spirit, people working together, and the banners are an emblem of this union.
Councillor Bobby Young.
So there's no reason why we shouldn't keep reminding our children and future generations about the history of this county. It's a great county, still a great place to live. It was a great place to live then, it's a better place to live now. So I think it's great that we keep the schools informed and keep the kids interested in our mining history. I certainly, as long as I'll be alive, will be reminding people about our very strong mining history.
This is Councillor Jane Brown.
I know that everybody in this community is so proud of this group, their achievements, the fundraising they've done year on, year out, never giving up. We really, really should congratulate them.
My father and my grandfather and the whole family were Durham Miners Gala people, and I remember from sitting on my dad's shoulders at 3 years old at the Miners Gala every year till I left home when I was over 21 before I left the county, so I never missed a gala. So I mean, I think it's, if we can rekindle that kind of spirit in the communities, we'll never have the pits back, that's for sure in northwest Durham, but there's no reason why we shouldn't have the same community spirit that existed there if we get community organisations, like-minded people getting together the way they used to in those days, the kind of village that I was brought up in.
The Yorkshire Corps Brass Band will lead the banner in. They're joined by a special guest. Barry Hill played trumpet in the last Crookhall Colliery Band, and he's volunteered to represent the village by playing again today.
But I haven't actually played in a brass band for 30 years. It's exactly 30 years again today since I last played.
Look, the rope over the top of this. That's your ropes. Get your rope on, get your tassel on. That's right, you just tip. Maybe a map and follow.
And finally, after years of hard work and dedication, the historic moment has arrived as Crookhall's new banner is unfurled in Durham.
I'll do you a disc.
Right, oh, thank you very much. No problem.
The banner's ready to take its rightful place in the Gala parade as it winds its way through the city streets to the racecourse. The banner's progress is brought to a temporary halt on Elwood Bridge, waiting for the route ahead to clear.
I will after them, all right?
Nervous is.
Ah, nervous. The nerves have gone now.
Well, I'm finding it very difficult. No, not bad. Not bad. Just like falling off a pig.
Then to one of the most poignant moments of the day, as band and banner stand beneath the gala's main speakers who were gathered on the balcony of the Royal County Hotel.
Ladies and gentlemen from Crookhall, with a brand new banner.
Let's listen to Beck Dixon.
They looked down and I could see them not looking at us, they looked at the banner as they were playing, and then they looked at the banner and they kept their eyes on the banner for quite a long time. They realised just how beautiful that banner is. It made me feel proud as peacock, honest to God. I was tingling. Honest, the hairs on the back of my neck, my whole body, my cheeks were like tingling. I could feel it with pride. And all the school kids walking just behind us, it was just a magnificent feeling, knowing that they were enjoying it as much as me.
We decided that we wanted a miners' wheel in the middle, and we become one, and we put a pickaxe cross there, and then we put a spade there, and we had the school in the olden days, and then we had the badge as well. Miss Lee helped us. We were in her class when we designed it.
They are absolutely so excited, and they've enjoyed marching. They have been disciplined. We have parents here as well who've helped throughout. And long may it continue, and as I say, we'll all be back next year. But they've learned a lot, and they're looking at the banners with interest.
This is Joe Hook. He carried the banner through Durham.
It was great for me to carry the banner in. I was chosen by Beck Dixon, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself carrying through the streets of Durham. My dad would have been proud of that. My dad worked all his life down the pits, and it's a great sensation to come here today. I worked at the high stables. I started off at 15-year-old, and I worked for 10 years down the mains. I've done everything down the mains, what was to do down the mains. I was hand putting, pony putting, coal hewing, stonework and pulling.
Gordon Collins used to play in Crookhall Colliery Band.
My father played with us in the band, my father's trombone player. I was the second man down on the top stand in the corners. There was, in my time, there was 5 fathers and 5 sons. It was one of the best bands in the north of England in this day. Won all the contests. It was a fantastic time I had with this band. That looks like my father, the one on the third to the left. That's my father was had a club foot and he always leaned on the trombone on the side. And that's a spitting image of him. I think that's pretty damn there. Yeah.
After the exuberance and passion of the gala, the banner makes its way from the racecourse to the cathedral for a more solemn occasion. The traditional service of dedication reserved for all new banners, celebrated by the bishops of Durham and Durham. As Beck Dixon explains,
the last banner to go to the cathedral must have been in 1954. People that are watching with us today were at that ceremony in 1954, and they said they were knocked out by it. So it's going to be the same today for us, and it's all a brand new experience for all of us. I'm dreading it, but I intend enjoying it.
Same thing again, counter mark, straight down the middle again. Straight down the middle. Okay?
later as I come back to the northeast, and everything seems so very, very different. Everything seems to have changed. Or has it? Because is it just possible that what today is about Durham people remembering not just important parts of their history, but even more important, remembering what matters and what is truly important for our lives and the lives of our communities. Remembering that sense of people looking out for each other. Remembering that sense of people trying to support one another in times of need. And I've just been reading Tommy Turnbull's account of what the lodges did when there was no work in 1926 to keep morale up and to provide financial and physical support. There's that sense which surely is deep in the Durham memory of standing together against injustice. It's good, surely, to remember what is good and what is important about our past.
Bishop Tom, on behalf of the Crookhall community, I ask you to dedicate this banner as a symbol of the fellowship and service to our local people.
May Almighty God bless all those who work in the mining industry and all mining communities, both at home and across the world, and those who have committed their lives to the service of their fellow human beings. We dedicate and bless these banners, that they may bear witness to the selfless devotion of the people of Thornley, the Durham Aged Miners' Homes, Handon Hold, Crookhall and Eccleston. May inspire us all to lives of discipleship and service, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen.
way back from the cathedral to the bus, there's time for a bit of well-earned refreshment.
When you go down, he never does that. Expect me boys to
I never poured in the plastic glass thing, we never made.
Like that thing.
See, he's finished before me.
Thank you.
But there still remains one job left to do, to take the banner to an important group of people, right back where it all began.
Big thanks, Beck, for what you've done, mate. You've done a cracking job. And maybe, who knows, in the future you might, your portrait might be on the banner.
John had the dream, he had the ambition, he has the tenacity, and bless him, his health hasn't been the best. He's put an enormous amount of work and effort in, and this is the fruits of Beck's work, and so I'm really delighted for John Dixon personally.
I think it's very, very important, vitally important. Obviously, we have school children today who don't realise that the county was built on coal, and most of the villages and communities are there only because of coal. And I think it's very important that people realise where we come from. I think if you don't realise where you come from, you'll never ever progress forward.
Honestly, it's a weight off my shoulders. I mean, it's been a shared project, I know, but as like the organiser, I've worried about a lot that might go wrong, might not go wrong. Will this be right? Will that be right? Everything's worked out perfectly. The unfurling last night went well, very well, and everything today up now is absolutely A1. Looking forward to the cathedral next. Then round the streets of Crookhall and Delves at tea time. Looking forward to it.
Excellent, that's great. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.
You've done.
Cut!
Thank you very much.